So I did another thing again, and it'll make sense in a second, but these are all of Wembanyama's Game 4 buckets that didn't involve a fast break. So basically, yeah, the ones where they didn't get a stop and he just got to run and go get an alley or something. Everything I have marked in green is a look that the Oklahoma City Thunder will just live with. If they come into the game and he takes this shot, you kind of just go, well, at least he wasn't catching a lob, or he didn't drive, or he didn't get an easy dunk, he didn't get a highlight play. He took 22 shots in game 4. I have 9 green marks here. Mind you, there were more than a couple of fast breaks, so that means there really weren't that many looks OKC wouldn't be happy with, and that is central to the discussion today, because as the San Antonio Spurs sit on the brink of elimination, I told y'all last video that we talked about this series, they need to get him more comfortable looks. It's not about his numbers, it's not about him having 26 points and, oh, but it was efficient. No, it's about getting into those games like game 5 where you're perpetually playing down by like 10 points, 12 points, and you need to get your best player looks to really get him involved, to get him going, to get the energy up, and you can't get those. So his game 4 looks are kind of a symptom of this problem because they blew them out. He got a lot of highlight plays, all was good, they tied the series, but the Thunder are champions for a reason. They make adjustments. They made adjustments on both ends. So we're going to talk about Chet too, because I know you see him in the title. Specifically for Wembanyama though, what's happening right now, and I think Reggie Miller echoed this sentiment on air when he said, or maybe it was Jamal Crawford, basically talking about games 1 and 4 were Wemby games. Everything else so far has felt like him playing a version of the game that the Thunder want him to play, in my opinion, including game 4. Yeah, that turned out to be a Wemby game because he got some easier looks, but there was more going on to why they lost that game. The reason they are up 3-2 right now is because this late in the series is starting to grind. San Antonio does not have a clue how to get Wembanyama dominant looks, or to get him to be dominant for a stretch when it does not involve him being able to dominate someone half his size. That's just the fact. When he does not have the 3-point shot going, he doesn't have a ton else to lean on, so he's taking contested shots over a Chet, over a Hardenstein. Anytime he rolls. We talked about PNR in the Nuggets video when I had the illusion Denver was gonna maybe be healthy, and I talked about specifically De'Aaron Fox, how Wemby and Fox don't play well off of each other, and I wouldn't even really consider Fox a star right now, but him being traded there, you thought of that as a duo. They don't play like it. There's not really a lot of ways for their games to mesh. I said specifically when Fox and Wemby run a PNR, sometimes that's not more complicated than going under, or you have the big end drop, which OKC did both of in game 5. This will lead to a tough Fox shot, or it'll lead to a Wembanyama 3. Especially when OKC is in zone, and this is just on Wemby rolls in general, he's just rolling into bodies. There's not really space for him to be able to catch a lob. There's not space for him to get a comfortable look. It's coming down to the issue that I named in my main channel video when I wrapped up the season, and I said there was a gap in the San Antonio Spurs shooting. It really hasn't shown as much until they're in this series with the team. It's not a sure thing that they're going to beat. It's not obvious that they're going to beat them. So now when Castle's being asked to shoot threes, that feels a lot worse. Keldon, that feels a lot worse. Harper, that feels a lot worse. Fox, that feels a lot worse. And hell, he feels bad about it. There was a possession in this game where he absolutely should have taken a shot, and instead he decided to drive straight into OKC's defense that wanted him to drive. In a tense situation, the only shooters on the San Antonio Spurs that you really fear is Vassell and Champagnie. And Champagnie right now, that's hit or miss. Up until last game, he hasn't really been hitting. What does that mean? Wemby does not really have the room to operate. Guys can load up on him. PNR is extremely easy to take off the table if you're willing to gamble, which OKC is. And now if he's got the ball in a face-up situation, you see multiple problems. So San Antonio did try the thing I said. I was like, set some screens for Wemby, have some guards, have some forwards screen for him. And not only did OKC blow that shit up, they just don't really have anybody who can acceptably do it. You saw Keldon try to screen a couple of times. It just went nowhere. OKC was ready for that. There was one play Shea just immediately went and took away Wembanyama's dribble. And the youth shows. It shows from everyone, but including Wembanyama. I think Wemby and Castle both demonstrated in PNR in game 5, they aren't point guards, you know? It's not like they just know to make the perfect read or the perfect pass, because there was one where Castle should have probably hit Champagnie and he didn't. There was one where Wemby, as soon as he got a little bit nervous with the ball, he just picked it up and blew up the play. He was supposed to use a screen from Vassell. He just did what the Thunder's defense wanted him to. So really, it's kind of starting to feel like, man, you're up against the champs, you're in this tight series. You can kind of see the Spurs' lack of an actual point guard. Fox is the size of a point guard, and he does a lot of shooting guard shit. And in game 5, it wasn't a lot of good shooting guard shit. I think game 5 showed that lack of an excellent decision maker, and it's feeding right into the Thunder's plan. So to extend this series, to get it back to OKC for a 7th, they have to figure something out. You've tried Fox and Wemby PNR. You tried to have a couple guys screen for Wemby. They did a lot of off-ball. To their credit, they off-ball were trying to get Jared McCain switched on to Wembanyama, and OKC just wouldn't really let it happen. Or if they did, the next decision for San Antonio wasn't very quick. It wasn't very sound. But I would keep leaning into that. That's one. Two, I would still keep leaning into Fox and Wemby PNR, because when Fox is just driving into the paint and then takes a little leaning shot, that doesn't compliment anyone but himself. That's a tough bucket. OKC is kind of fine with that. He's not a great three-point shooter. Fox either needs to be on fire to help San Antonio, or he needs to be complimenting their star. And although, yes, you can take away that Fox and Wemby PNR to the point that it's a huge advantage, you can take that part off. But if you have two other shooters on the floor, your two best shooters on the floor, the Thunder can't really take away the fact that they do have to still pay that a lot of attention. They have to pay a Wemby role a lot of attention. And there, they can open up some free shots. Because in Game 5, the Spurs were way too eager to oblige and just funneling a three to Keldon Johnson. They are fine with that. The Thunder, they're fine with that. But I saw enough in Game 5 that I think it's something they should keep on the table, and they actually need to keep it on the table, because once again, since Hardenstein got onto Wemby, since Biggs got onto Wemby, his rebounding is not the same, his attack is not the same, his comfort is not the same, his attitude is not the same. And we're going to talk about that, because I will give props and then I will also call out the bullshit. Wemby did some bullshit. I talked in the Wemby and Chet video about him punching down and him basically being the damn boogeyman when it comes to the Thunder and Chet. But you have a poor game. You haven't been super duper dominant since then. And then you don't show up to the press conference, which he received a warning for. Bro, that's weak. I'm sorry, that's weak. You can't play this role of terrorizing the NBA and just calling a spade and saying everything that you want. We're better than them. I don't really respect this. We beat them a ton. And then doing all this extra stuff to Chet, which he did, and who is not fighting back, by the way. Chet has not participated in it. Instead, what OKC did is they adjusted. After Shea had that long interview pause about how to get Chet involved in the game, I guess maybe he just didn't want to give up the fact they did have an ace in the hole, because what they did was told Chet, when Wemby's not on you, you can basically go at anybody else. These are mostly, again, guards and forwards. They don't really have another actual big man that they use regularly on the roster outside of Wemby. You have Cornette that comes in. Everybody else who plays power forward is pretty much more of a small forward. So whether Chet actually scored on a possession or not, he was being super aggressive. He was looking for his shot. He was making sure that they actually ran out to him on three. He was attacking smaller bodies, and he got off to a quick start. He put some fouls on San Antonio by forcing the issue, being big, being his size. I have to give props to the Thunder, the coaching, and Chet, because instead of doing what I said, where I was like, well, he's got to get into this game with Wemby, no, they said he doesn't. And we're not putting Chet on Wemby. Sometimes he's been on him. It's been for some possessions, but it's mostly been Hardenstein. And then as of Game 5, they said Chet is just going to play his game, because Wemby walked through. I don't know if I've shown it already yet, but he walked through, he bumped them, he walked through the little huddle when the timeout was happening. And that's why I said not showing up to the press conference is weak, because this is Game 5. You just lost to the defending champs. They are now knocking on the door of another NBA Finals. Wemby had one of his worst games. You could actually see it on his face when I think he and Chet just got slightly locked up. And again, Chet didn't play the game, just walked away. And look at Wemby's face. And then, yeah, just finish. Whew, look at Wemby's face, bro. Look at Wemby's face. Oh my goodness. He is pissed. Oh, okay, because it was what happened after. Yeah, something. Yeah, they got tangled after. Yo. See, this is my problem, right? And I made a whole video about it. You can't be punching down and starting all this shit with this guy that has not said anything to you and then not show up to the presser after. I have a big problem with that. Look, part of the reason everyone just kind of looks at Dillon Brooks, and Dillon Brooks is a great player, but I'm talking about his villain act. It's a meme because, well, he's not a legendary type of player, but he also shamelessly will just troll, and then also, if he doesn't back it up, he doesn't back it up. He goes to live another day, and everyone's like, damn, that's kind of crazy. That one time, you know, when he was like, I'm out. But Wemby playing into this whole role that he's been building up for the last few years, and beefing with this man when you don't really have that much of a reason to. Now that they have adjusted to you, they are playing you like the champs, you can't not show up to the press conference, bro. You can't. I can't even imagine the reason you wouldn't. If you're gonna dish it, you gotta be able to take it. So yeah, once again, shout out to Chet Holmgren, because that's something I specifically said in the video, is how he fights back is up to the pro, and he just fought back in the most important game of the series by doing what the coaching staff told him to, and it worked. So to wrap this up, the 2 problems, and there's way more to game 5, but I'm not going to go through the micro details because game 6 could look totally different. The 2 major issues right now that they currently have is they don't know how to get Wemby great shots. Even when they win, it's mostly the defense creating the offense. And now Chet Holmgren has unlocked that he's effective against you guys. He can be effective against you guys, which he needs to be. There's no J-Dub. I don't think there's going to be a J-Dub in this series. His contract kicks up to 40 mil next year. He should be able to plug in and go have a game like he just had. So now San Antonio, what are you going to do when Chet is again, you know, you've got Champagny on him, some smaller guard gets switched on to him? What are you going to do when he's posting up and he's looking for a shot, or he's getting deep in the paint and forcing you to foul? What are you going to do about that? Those 2 questions will do more than anything to decide if this goes to a 7th game, because you can't do anything about the fact Alex Caruso is now a 60% 3-point shooter. We're 5 games in. You can't leave him open. That's just what it is. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a new video drops. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.